Alright, Autumn, so we're going to look at your start position and then your set position and then what your drive looks like out of the blocks. So beginning with this start position, we're going to zoom in here on the left side, and I'm going to point out some things that are good, and I think there were only a couple things that I didn't like. So I like that your head is neutral with your spine. That's a good thing. I like that this shin is basically parallel with the ground. That's a good thing. I like the separation between your pedals. I think that that's enough separation to get a really good push and a really good drive out of the blocks. And some things that I didn't like. I really wasn't a huge fan of where your shoulders are in relation to your hands. Like we talked about at the camp, you want them to be directly over top your hands. And as you can see here, they're just a little set back. Okay, so you want to make sure you adjust yourself to correct that when you're in this start position. Another thing, if you look here on the right side and we zoom in, I think that your hands might be a little wide. Okay, so you probably want to bring this hand into about here and this one into about here. Okay, slightly wider than your shoulders, not extremely wider. So we're going to zoom out here. I'm going to put you into set position and take a look at some things here. The one good thing that I think I see here, if we look on the left side, is that even though your shoulders were in line with your hands, were not in line with your hands when you were in the start position, they are, I think, just slightly displaced in front of your hands here. So you did adjust yourself correctly when you came up into the set position. Another thing that I like is I like where your hips are at in relation to your head. Okay, we know that our hips need to be slightly above our head. In other words, we don't want our butt to be way up in the air. So that's a good thing there. Let's take a look at your angles. Okay, so I'm looking for about a 90-degree angle here. So we're about 96. Okay, so that's a good thing. And we're looking for something greater than that from this angle. Okay, that's a good thing as well. So I think you're set up to do pretty well when you push out of the blocks here. Even another good thing that I see is that your heels and your foot is completely in contact with the pedal. Okay, that's a big deal. You want to make sure that there's no lag time between your foot and the pedal when you go to take off out of the blocks. So let's zoom out and look at your drive. Okay, so we have our initial drive out of the blocks, which I really like. Big arms create big open legs. Okay, so arms angulate and legs angulate. So if we push out of the blocks with explosive arms, we're going to have explosive legs out of the blocks as well. Okay, rewinding a little bit, our initial push, I would say this is where we're at full extension. Okay, and you can see that you are a little bent at the waist. Okay, so how do we fix that? All right, while it is ideal to put your pedals up higher at a stronger angle, I want you to take a look right now at what your angle is if your shoulder was in line with your heel coming out of the blocks. You're at less than a 45-degree angle, which we know a 45-degree angle is really aggressive. So pedals, okay, when I talk about pedals, these, when they are in their all the way down position, they're naturally at a 45-degree angle. So if you feel more comfortable with your pedals all the way down and you'll get a better push out of the blocks, that's completely fine because that's a 45-degree angle. Anytime we move our pedals up higher, we are then talking about something greater than or less than a 45-degree angle, okay? So getting that stronger angle out of the blocks, which some of us can handle and some of us cannot. So usually the issue is not handling that initial push out of the blocks as much as it is the next 3 to 5 steps after that initial push. So maybe we should lower our pedals. And the reason I say that is because when you push out of the blocks, you want each stride to be very gradual. In other words, if we're pushing out at a 45-degree angle, we don't want to, in our next stride, be at a 50-degree angle. We want those things to change by about 2 degrees. We never want it to change by more than 6 degrees, okay, with each stride. So we saw ourselves at about a 42. What I saw in your second step is you went to a 46, and then you quickly jumped to a 48, okay? And something I'd rather see is see a 42, and then maybe a 43 or 44, and then maybe a 46 or 47, or 45 or 46, and then maybe a 47 or 48, something like that. So I think that you are setting yourself up to fail in a sense that your pedals are too high, and you're causing yourself to have to stand up sooner than you want in your drive phase. Okay? And I think overall you can become a little bit more explosive out of the blocks. So if you watch yourself here, your initial push, you want to have some displacement into the air, meaning nothing is touching the ground. And as you see here, that drive knee is off the ground, our back leg is still pushing, but before our back leg even has a chance to fully be in the ground, we're already putting that front leg down. Okay? So at some point you should be completely displaced in the air, and you don't quite get that. And if you do, it's very, very minimal. Okay? So that's really all I have for you with your block starts. We're going to rewind and zoom out and kind of watch the whole thing in slow motion. Alright, so if you have any questions, you know how to reach me, 715-619-0150.